Gervonta Davis gets a whole lot of smoke for a rumor around Frank Martin and a potential rule change for the WBA. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. So woke up this morning, got a note from my guy, Phoenix the Assassin. Shout out to Phoenix the Assassin, one of the best contributors to the channel, always sending me some of the, the newest news that is out there on Twitter and out there in the boxing world. And he brought to my attention a conversation going on about Gervonta Davis, the WBA, and potential rule change for the WBA, which would put limits on how much a fighter can gain in between the first weigh-in, the day before weigh-in, and the morning of the fight. And people are using this as a way to say that Gervonta Davis is trying to weight drain Frank Martin in an attempt to have an unfair advantage against Frank Martin. Gervonta Davis responds to it, and I'm going to respond, let you know what that is, and respond to it myself in this video, because I think it's mighty ironic considering a note that was sent to the New York State Athletic Commission by a certain fighter who was saying that it was unfair that they didn't have a second day weigh-in and another fighter was allowed to weigh whatever they wanted to weigh. People are really, 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 really funny. But before I get into it, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are new to the channel, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Also, thank you to everybody that supports in the super thanks of videos like this. It's a real good way to help the channel continue to go. It's the $sign right next to the comment section. So thank you to everybody that usually does that. Matty O, Big Dre, my guy, Daryl McKinney, Barbara D, as always. Thank you for your support, Barbara D. And good to know you're going to be back in the live stream today. But let's get into this. So Gervonta Davis says, they say that the WBA wants to put a rehydration clause in their rehydration limit for their fights. Now, what would that be? I don't know what the particular limit would be, but the IBF, which the International Boxing Federation, already has that rule in place where between the actual weigh-in of a fight and the same day weigh-in, they have two weigh-ins, that a fighter cannot gain more than 10 pounds. So for example, Jaron Ennis is the 147 champion for the IBF. When he weighs in the next day, the morning of the fight, he cannot weigh any more than 157 pounds, right? Now, why do people do that? They do it or the IBF have that rule to prohibit people from pretty much weight bullying and using all kind of different means to get weighed down in weight. And then you guys both weigh in at 140. But by the time, the fight takes place, one guy weighs 150 and the other guy weighs 170, right? Now, I noticed I said 170. I didn't say 165 because I didn't want it to make it seem like I was taking a jab at anybody particular. But I am still taking the jab because I know full well who the people are that are saying this, somehow blaming Gervonta Davis for the WBA coming up with a rule that the IBF already has and is really important for fighter safety, right? Fighter safety is, as far as them draining down in weight and rehydrating too fast, and also fighters just getting in weight classes where they're not fighting a guy anywhere near the same size of them, because there's weight classes for a reason. But I find it interesting that it's slapped on Gervonta Davis. And why would that be? Because obviously people say that Gervonta Davis whenever he's fought somebody outside of his own weight class, or he's moved up in weight, he had a rehydration clause specifically in his contract to prevent the person that he's fighting at a higher weight from getting way bigger than he is. The two instances that we know of are Mario Barrios when he fought at 140 pounds and Ryan Garcia when he fought at 136 pounds. Now, here's the funny thing to me, because I know these are Devin Haney fans doing this because, sore losers. Yeah, and I know he may get his thing turned to a no contest. That may happen. Still got whooped. Anyway, I am rubbing that in your faces because you're obnoxious. Because there's no reason to be trying to lay this on Gervonta Davis, especially after Devin Haney himself wrote a petition to the New York State Athletic Commission and told the New York State Athletic Commission that he thought Ryan Garcia should be part of the reason Ryan Garcia should get suspended, and his loss to Ryan Garcia should be turned into a win, was that there was no second day weigh-in, so we don't know what Ryan Garcia rehydrated to. Even though it was Devin Haney himself or his team, at least according to Eddie Hearn, that said that they didn't want to have the next day weigh-in. But whatever the case is, there's nothing wrong with the same day weigh-in. Matter of fact, that's what the rule of boxing, in my opinion, should be, that you weigh in the morning of the fight. Period. Now, I know they're not going to switch up all the weight classes, right? But think about it. If you're fighting at 147 and you're weighing in at 150, if your weight class is 147, but you're weighing 157 the morning of the fight, what weight class are you fighting in? You're fighting at middleweight. If you're weighing 135 pounds during the weigh-in and you're fighting at 100 and you weigh in the next morning at 145 pounds, what weight are you fighting at? You're fighting at welterweight, not lightweight, which will tell you that the people that had to weigh in the morning of the fight and made those weights very well might have been different sized people than the people that are actually fighting in those weight classes now. And it's just skewing everything, and it makes it unfair to people who it makes it unfair for people that know how to game the system. And if you have enough leverage in a fight with somebody else to prevent them from doing it, like Gervonta Davis, you can prevent somebody from doing it. However, what if you don't have any leverage in the scenario? You can get tossed in there with a giant and be in a situation where you're fighting a guy nowhere near your size because they have the ability or the crew around them that allow them to get down to weight. But any way you go, blaming a fighter for a rule that the sanctioning body may or may not put in. How in the world is that Gervonta Davis's fault? And that's what Gervonta Davis said. He was like, he basically said, I don't know what you guys are talking about with this, but how in the world would that be? Do I have enough power to make them to change that in the rules? Like, anyway, just anything to plaster the kid, man. And already make an excuse for a reason that Frank Martin may lose to Gervonta Davis, even though I like Frank Martin a lot as a fighter. Just had to throw that in. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. Please let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.